Join me. Together we can rule the galaxy far from the sun.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Hello there, plastic spacemen, rebel princesses, and whatever else you want to fill in there. This is Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 96. Today we're going to be talking about, I kind of lied last week, I'm sorry, but we're going to be talking about just part one of the finale of Star Wars Resistance. Yes, I'm going to break this up, doing part one today, and then we'll pick up part two in a couple weeks here. So we're going to be talking about that, a little Moon Knight, and everything else. So stick around, and we got a great show planned for you. Unfortunately, Little T couldn't make it today, but we got some exciting things planned in the upcoming future here. So just stick around for that. But yeah, crazy week this week, I think. I don't know. Spring break for the kids. So that's been going on. Super exciting news. I am starting a new build. I picked up from my buddy Joe. I picked up the kit for the Patrol Trooper. So the Patrol Trooper is from Solo. He probably has 15 seconds of film screen time, maybe 30 seconds. I don't know. But he's the one that tries to pull over Solo in the kind of chase on Corellia, and then gets blown up, gets thrown from the bike and all that. But the biggest thing about the Patrol Trooper that I'm so excited for is not only is it a blend, one of the reasons I picked this kit, it's a blend of the Stormtrooper and kind of the Biker Scout, and kind of this, and I just love the helmet. But I can bend down, so I'm super excited. It has no thigh plates, or no, so if you're not familiar with TK's got these kind of thigh plates, the armor, and you can't bend. You really can't, unless you're like super tall, and I'm super short, so can't really bend. Can bend the legs a little bit, but once you suit up, you can't sit down. But in this Patrol Trooper, I can sit down, and I'm so excited. I can kneel down with the kids. It's gonna be great. So that's going to start this kind of long build process, but it's okay. It's going to be cool. I'm super excited. Hopefully get it done. I'm hoping for October. That's basically what I'm looking for, because there's a lot of different things that has to go into it, and plus you have your daily life, so you can't really dedicate a lot of time to it. But there you go. We still gotta fill out kind of the spring break, so we're going to the Field Museum, which is a local Chicago museum here, and they got this cool exhibit for dinosaurs, special exhibit about the dinosaurs of the ocean. So we're going to be looking at that. So check for updates for that. We'll definitely have updates next week for what we do there. WrestleMania's coming up, brother. So WrestleMania's 2 nights this week. So Saturday and Sunday WrestleMania. So Trent and I will be checking out that. What else? Oh my gosh, Moon Knight. So Moon Knight premiered Wednesday. So as of this recording, yesterday. So Trent and I watched this. Now it does have a TV-14 viewing. So I would, as a parent, I did not watch this beforehand, but it is a little scary. There were some parts that were a little scary for Trent, so we covered his eyes, and that's okay. But most of the Marvel films and TV shows have been, I would say, depending on, how old your kid is. But, Trent is 9, so it was a little too much in some parts, so we just covered his eyes and said, okay, don't have to look at this. Because there are a couple scary parts in Moon Knight. But, oh my goodness, Oscar Isaac is fantastic in this. The first title is The Goldfish Problem. And this debuted, obviously, March 30th. And we got kind of thrown into it. And I kind of like these kind of episodes where you're introducing, kind of doing a little world building, and you don't know what's going on. And I think that's part of the fun of some of these shows, is like when they throw you in, you don't get all the facts yet. So Stephen Grant is the character that Oscar Isaac plays, and he's in London. So the comic version of Moon Knight, if I'm familiar with it, is set in Hell's Kitchen in New York, where pretty much most of the superheroes are. So I kind of like how they're going away from New York and going to a different location. So that's just one of the things that I know barely about the Moon Knight character. But Stephen Grant is kind of a recluse. Something's up. He's taped his door. He's got sand around his bed. He's got shackles when he sleeps. So something's going on. And he's a little nervous and jumpy and stuff like that. But he basically suffers from blackouts and doesn't get a lot of sleep, insomnia. And you're kind of thrown all over the place with this episode. So it's kind of hard to summarize it, but essentially he's like a museum souvenir shop, but he knows a lot about Egyptian stuff, and he's just got these weird things going on with him, and there's some, he kind of automatically wakes up and he's being chased. So one of the sequences is like he wakes up and he's like laying on the ground and his jaw's like all messed up, and then these guys are shooting at him, and then we kind of see this kind of religious guy played by what is his name? It's escaping me. Stephen Hawkins? Is I'm saying that right? I don't know. Is that not the I don't know. I can't remember. But he's kind of like I would say like a David Koresh kind of like cult leader, and he has these scales with these alligators holding scales, and then like an alligator divining rod cane that he uses, and he basically puts judgment on people, and if you're good or bad, you're great. And so, but the tattoo moves. It's got a little magical thing, kind of like Moana, so very interesting. But he basically, this guy's called Arthur Harrow, and he has a scarab, like a gold scarab, and that's what Arthur wants. And so he's chasing him. There's this great chase sequence of he's in this cupcake truck and they're fighting, but then he blackouts, and then he's doing all these cool things, or he did a cool thing. And so there's these constant things, and there's this voice, almost, Trent and I described it almost like Venom, where it's talking to him. He's like, oh, we got the idiot now, or something like that, referring to Stephen Grant. He then wakes up from this thing, and then he has this date with one of his coworkers, in a sense, somebody at the museum. And so he shows up at the date, and the date stood him up, and he's like, oh man, this is, so he finally calls her, and she's like, I waited, but you never showed up. And so their date was Friday or whatever, and it's Sunday. So somehow he blacked out for 2 days and then came to, even though he thinks it was just a day has passed. So these are things that he suffers with. You just really feel for this character, because it's almost like he can't control what's going on, and he just feels lost in this space. So one of the things that he kind of wakes up, he comes back to his apartment after the botched date, even though he tells his mom, everything's great, it was wonderful, can't wait for you to meet her. One of the things that happens is that it is, what can I say? How can I put it? He finds these scratch marks on his floor. So he moves the desk, and he sees this kind of panel broken out, and he pops the panel, and there's a key card, keys, and then a phone, like a burner phone. And he pulls it up, and there's all these missed messages. And so he calls them, and he gets a mysterious woman that it says Layla, and she's blowing up his phone, all these missed calls. So he places a call, and she calls him Mark. And why are you talking in this accent? So he's like, I don't know who Mark is, So that's a weird sequence. So then he goes back to museum, little sketchy. He knows that when he's leaving his apartment, there is this is where it gets kind of scary, is there's this Egyptian guy with a big kind of crow skull mask with a sickle, and he's following him, and he sees him everywhere. And then he screams in the bus, and he looks, and there he is, and all this kind of stuff. But everyone's like, dude, what is up with this guy? So he thinks, and then he gets out the bus, and he sees Arthur Harrow, and he's like, okay, what's going on here? So So he then Harrow confronts him, and there's like a bunch of people that are in the museum that actually are part of like Harrow's little cult. And he says, I work for this goddess Amit, I think it is. So one of the things that happens is that Steven is doing inventory for his job late at night. He tries to exit one of the things that happens during that confrontation is that he judges Steven with his little cane Galligator thing, and it doesn't make a decision. He just says, there's chaos on you. And then Steven just books, and Arthur's like, just let him go, which was interesting. So Harrow summons the Anubis jackal, and it's like this jackal. We see that a lot in like Egyptian paintings or whatever, and attacks Grant. And then this thing is pretty lethal, kind of like a guard dog type thing, a demon dog from like Ghostbusters. So this is the part where, again, it was a little scary for kids, I thought, so we had Trent to cover his eyes, but anyways, then so he gets in the bathroom. And then the bathroom, which is kind of cool, is that there's reflections in the mirror, and then it's Mark. And Mark's like, hey, let me help you. He's talking through the mirror, and it's super cool. So then Grant agrees, and he transforms into the Cloak Warrior of Moon Knight and takes care of the beast, and that's how it ends. And so you get this kind of close-up of the Moon Knight. Oh, man, and that's it. That's it. Very cool. Love it. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun trying to understand, like, are these three different people, or is this just one person, and he suffers from, kind of like multiple personalities or whatever. But, yeah, it's cool. So I think it's 6 episodes, so it's going to end on May the 4th, which is fine by me, but it should be pretty cool. So there you have it. Definitely go check it out. Super fun. Trent and I really enjoyed it. And it was just kind of cool seeing Oscar Isaac in this different role, and he was fantastic. All right, let's move on to The Escape Part 1. So this is Season 2, Episode 18, basically. And we have we're getting to the conclusion of Resistance. I can't believe it's happening, but it's here. And so what is happening here is that we are, again, Colossus is still trying to chase and trying to figure out what we should do and what's the next move. But first it kind of picks off with the First Order. And there is a massacre on Eos Prime. So they shift back. Tam's like, I can't believe we're just constantly going back and forth. Shifts back to Eos Prime. All these Star Destroyers show up and take out Eos, man. So not really cool. So Tam basically at this point says, hey, there's a lot of innocent people. And Rucklin's like, they get what they deserve, subversives. I don't know what he said. Some complicated word that I can't say. Basically, they're they're in line with or part of the resistance. So it doesn't matter. The Eos Prime gone. So they get bombarded from the sky, which is crazy. So Tam makes a choice. She says, all right, I'm going to do this. So she knows that the comlink is in, what's her name? I forget her name. Jeez, I'm blanking on. I'm blanking on her name. Tyrini, I think is her name. Oh, gosh, I'm horrible. Sorry, names are bad. So she goes and gets a comlink. This is also a setup from a previous episode where she kind of shows like, hey, I still didn't trust you, but here's your comlink, and I'm so glad that you never used it, okay? So she takes the comlink, gets a mouse droid, we get to see the inner workings of a mouse droid. She reprograms it, and she's setting up different stuff, and so she gets into Tyrini's office, gets a comlink, does a couple things, boom, boom, boom. We also, she basically says, hey, you got to get me out of here. So, we get to see Kylo Ren. Yes, Kylo Ren makes an appearance, and he's not happy with Pry and Tyranny. I don't know, man. That's so bad. But we see Kylo through the Force, through the hologram, basically try to draw weapons on both of them and says, you need to find the Colossus. We can't have this resistance cell running around while he's taking care of things. So failure is not an option. Very interesting. So we get, again, Tam gets to change heart. She reprograms the mouse droid with the comm link now and sends out a message to Colossus and Niku. Niku knows this code and understands that they use this message to make fun of Kaz with Tam, which is funny. So Niku was just being Niku and said, yeah, we had this coded message and just make fun of you. And so anyways, gets the gist. She's trying to meet them and says, hey, let's rendezvous in 3 cycles and meet up at Castellan. Now, Castellan is the planet where the Colossus originated from. So Yeager decides to go with Kaz. They take a first order transport, and they go and basically meet up at this kind of one of the racing rings and like in the location of where technically the Colossus was from. All right. So now one of the things that Tam does is a training flight. She has three ships with her, and they get orders to do this training flight, but then they do a short jump to Castellan. So now, as they do that, the First Order finds out, and then they're like, hey, let's go there too, because something's going on with Tam. So she says, do not engage when they see her, and Kaz and Yeager are kind of hiding on this ring, and then Tam basically takes out both TIE fighters, and Rucklin is her wingmate, because now we have a 2-seater TIE fighter, and so she takes him out, stuns a nice little elbow, boom, right to the, and knocks him out. But Tam says, hey, I had to change of heart. Yeager, she's kind of confronted by Yeager. They have a little squabble, but Kaz is like, hey, man, we're good. We're all good. And so let's get out of here. First Order obviously shows up. They have a little fight. They try to get to space. But then the classic tractor beam pulls them in. Bada bing, bada boom. So they take Tam out. What Yeager does is set the self-destruct for the transport, and they bounce out. Once they bounce out, the transport explodes, and now Tam's captured. Tam and Rucklin are kind of taken off, and now Yeager and Kaz are in the hangar, and they have a little firefight, and CB's there trying to do his thing and trying to distract them, and that is where it kind of ends. Dun, dun, dun. So, very cool. It was awesome. It was super. I thought it was really fast-paced, really good pace. A lot of action in this one. And, it was. There's a little funny bit as Kaz is trying to escape, just being Kaz, like trying to tiptoe through the hangar, and then they see them, and it's a fun little bit. But Kaz just being Kaz. So, there you have it. That's Escape Part 1. I know I said last week that we're going to do both of them, but just thought there's too much information to cover, so I'm like, still going to break it up. We're going to do episode 19 or episode 18 part 2 next time, hopefully soon. We might try to think of the schedule, but we might have another episode in between there. I'm just trying to figure that out, but we'll figure it out. And it's coming soon for the epic conclusion, so there you have it. Hey, there's one other thing that we've been doing now that we're getting kind of up there in the years. We're taking a look back of like what happened when. So this is what happened in 1996, since we're doing episode 96. So a lot of great stuff that's happened in 96. Pretty influential year. Again, Dark Horse is just killing it with the comics. They're doing like Heir of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi, X-Wing Rogue Squadron. X-Wing Rogue Squadron, I think, is the book. Yes, it's the book. It's the book that made some headlines here with Michael Stackpole and our buddy from Brad from Scuttlebutt doing this tweet with Patty Jenkins and all this kind of stuff. But basically, bottom line, Rogue Squadron is a series of books that were written for the EU, Legends Now, but it with the same title of the movie of Patty Jenkins' new project, there was questions of like they're going to reference these authors, and Stackpole says that he's been contacted by Patty Jenkins, so that's assuring. Just to get a little background of the Rogue Squadron, one of the things that is pretty cool about 96 is we have not only the Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels was published, the first one. We have Star Wars Tales from Mos Eisley. Tales of Mos Eisley is like the Cantina side characters and little stories about them, which is fantastic. But Shadows of the Empire is released. Now, if you were in 1996, you're like, what is that? Shadows of the Empire was essentially Lucasfilm's way of doing a movie without doing a movie. So they had a soundtrack. They had a book. They had a video game. And I think even comics, and then they even had action figures for Shadows of the Empire. And it's the in-between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So how did everything happen there? Kind of a big deal in 1996. One of the other big deals, kind of outside of Star Wars, but it's related to the video game because Shadows of the Empire came on the N64. Yes, the N64 was published in June. One of Nintendo's consoles back then, 96, 64 bits of awesome processing power. So you have that. Trying to think what else happened in 1996. Let me see. Just scrolling through here. There was one other thing. Oh, I can't believe I said this. But in November of 1996, StarWars.com is launched. This is where you got all your information about Star Wars. It was the internet, the World Wide Web. StarWars.com in November. So a lot of great information in the early days in 1996. That's where they started their databank and all this kind of fun stuff. But yes, it is finally published in 96. So there you have it. Super cool. Really pretty influential year. Shadows of the Empire was big. Very big. And like I said, it was Lucasfilm's publishing way of doing a movie without doing a movie. So that was super cool. So that's what happened in 1996. So thanks again, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses for listening to another episode of Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Hey, you can find us on a couple different things. So Twitter, you can find us at BLILT Podcast. On Instagram, it's Big T Little T Podcast. On Twitch, twitch.tv/Big T Little T. If you're not subscribing there, go check us out. If you need a little injection of Little T, that's where it's at. That's another thing we did. We did a bunch of streams this weekend. We did a lot of Madden, a lot of Rubber Bandits. So little E's in there as well. Ellie's in there. So we had a great time. So check that out. If you're not subscribed, go check that out. You can see some replays and have some fun. You can see there are two. One of the games, Trent and I both had run backs. We're running back, kickoff return, running back, and we both fumble in the end zone. It's crazy. But yes, that's super fun. Go check that out. Twitch.tv/Big T Little T. Hey, we got stickers. We want to give them to you. So if you give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify has a rating system now. Do that. Tweet us, give us a picture. We'll read that in a couple episode of review. Or, hey, you got a Star Wars question? Big T Little T Podcast at gmail.com. Tell us what you thought about Moon Knight. What were you excited for Obi-Wan? All this stuff. And if you can't remember any of that, just go to bio.link/Big T Little T. Got all your hot links there. Also, something just happened this morning that we should talk about. They moved Obi-Wan. What the heck? They're moving it from May 25th to Friday. What is that? Friday the 27th? So moving to Friday. And they're dropping 2 episodes. And it's going to be a celebration. So I think they was all trying to coordinate. And I think, too, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Marvel was ending on the 25th. So, again, that Friday, Wednesday thing, I honestly think Wednesday should be Marvel, Friday should be Star Wars, but that's just me. Now they're moving to Friday. I thought it would be really cool to have it on the 25th, A New Hope 45 anniversary, but I really think they're trying to get that Star Wars Celebration crowd jazzed up. So they're going to drop 2 episodes on Friday. So there you have it. Going to be super cool. But yeah, so I think next week we're going to have a special guest. I'm trying to think of the timing of this, but if not, we will go back to finish up Star Wars Resistance Season 2. It's been fun watching this one. Haven't seen it, so it's been fun kind of going through it. Hope you guys enjoyed it as we go through it. So now remember, truly wonderful the mind of the child is, and may the Force be with you always. Bye. See you later. Bye.